Alright guys, so just finished up my daggers. I wanted to post earlier today, but I just didn't have time. So here is my rasp dagger that I've been working on. Veg tan leather sheath with some brass rivets. And if you look at my other reel, you can see that on the piece, you can see the file marks of the old rasp still showing through. But I wanted to point out some things that the reel doesn't point out. So it's got a bronze guard that I casted, made, carved myself, deer antler handle, ironwood handle here, and then leather spacers in between the handle and the guard. And the blade I forged about 3 years ago when I was first learning blacksmithing, and the way I forged it at that time, because I didn't have the nice setup that I have now, was I had some bricks that I had stacked up into like a jet stove, or no, rocket stove setup, and I made a forge out of it. And so this was forged in a wood forge at that time. I just tempered it in this. But because of that, and because I was beginner at that time, the blade had some issues. So right here we have the dip, and the dip was not intentional, but when I went to go do the finishing grind work, I noticed that, oh, there was a crack in it. So I had to grind down instead of, reforging the blade or, welding it. I just ground down to get rid of the crack there. And then I had to figure out a guard set up and a handle set up for it, because this under here, the tang, is full of all sorts of like warps and different things. It's just a mess. But it is definitely strong enough to be a usable piece, but it's not something I would sell to somebody. So I figured, you know what, I'll make it cool and make it something that I like, because it's kind of sentimental to me, because it's one of my first pieces. So I decided to keep it, do this with it, and yeah, it turned out really well. And it's got a edge on both sides of it. The edge does stop right here where my thumb is, where the dip is. I decided to keep that as kind of like a thumb rest area. It works well, but it cuts really good. Don't mind my cold hands. Stab through too. Other side. You see I'm cutting with the back side. Back side's just as sharp as the front. There we go. So yeah, it's sharp. It's comfortable. I did try it on, and it fit quite nicely. But yeah, I was really pleased with how this one came out, and I will be doing more bronze guards like this in the future. It was a good experiment, and yeah, pleased with that one. So the other one that I've been meaning to get done for quite a while now is this little scorpion dagger I was working on, and this one turned out really nice. So you might be able to see on there, it's a little bit dark right here, and that's because I gave it some oil on the underside. I didn't think it would saturate through, but it did, and that was to help it form to the handle so that it kept its form when you take it in and out. But again, it's a veg tan leather sheath with some brass rivets. And here's the blade. And if you noticed in some of the pictures and the posts, it had a ridge going down it, and I decided to take that ridge out because it had it was the only way I could get a nice, clean mirror finish on it without, leaving a whole bunch of dings and grind marks and stuff that I didn't want left in it. This one only has one edge on it. This top hook here, I don't know what you'd call that, there's a name for it, is not sharp. It's just ornamental for looks. And then the handle is twisted and then ground to finish. So it's not just ground marks into the handle, it's actually twisted. And then the little scorpion on the top. And yeah, this one turned out really good. The little thumb rest there. And it cuts really well too. So this one has an interesting temper that I've not done before. So I did a sand temper on this one that a friend of mine told me about. And it's where you take the blade and you submerge it about that much of the edge in the sand, and you put it in cold sand in a preheated oven at 400 degrees was what I did. And then you have the back exposed on the blade and the handle. And what that does is it allows the spine of your blade to heat up and lose its temper pretty much, but your edge does not, because it is submerged below the sand. So the edge on this is actually really hard. So I could probably ding this into another blade and this would not have a ding mark in it, but the other edge on the other blade would, because this is such a hard edge. I'm not going to do that though, because I don't want to risk it, but it's theoretically possible. So, and it cuts really well to prove it. So, my fault. But yeah, this one turned out well, and been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do more scorpion carvings like this. This was a really interesting experiment, but so far my experiments have been successful, so that's good. But anyway, it's cold, and I'll catch you guys later, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching.